Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, A Day at Home Without Going Outside and quote. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. The day began quietly, the kind of quiet that only happens when the world outside seems to agree to leave you alone for a while. There was no alarm ringing, no rushing footsteps, no sound of keys or doors. Just soft morning light slipping through the curtains and resting gently on the floor. Before I opened my eyes, I felt it. A warm weight. Not heavy, not uncomfortable, just familiar. My dog had already claimed his place beside me, curled up like he had always been there all night, even though I clearly remembered him starting the night on his own bed. His breathing was slow and steady, rising and falling like a tiny tide. Every now and then, his tail twitched, as if he was chasing something important in his dreams. I checked my phone. No urgent messages. No appointments. No reason to go outside. Looks like we're staying home today, I whispered. My dog opened one eye. That was all it took. He didn't jump up or bark or spin in circles. Instead, he stretched slowly, dramatically, as if he were a professional at waking up. Front legs extended, back arched, then a deep sigh escaped him, one that sounded suspiciously like approval. He rolled onto his back, paws in the air, fully trusting the world. I rubbed his belly, and his tail began tapping the mattress like a quiet drumbeat. In that moment, the day already felt complete. We eventually made our way to the kitchen. I poured coffee. He followed closely, never more than a step behind, his nails clicking softly on the floor. While I waited for the coffee to brew, he sat down and looked up at me with calm confidence, as if to say, "This is a good day." I can tell. Breakfast was simple. Toast for me. Kibble for him. Yet somehow, he ate as if it were the best meal of his life, wagging his tail between bites. I sat on the floor with my coffee, back against the cabinet, and he came over to sit beside me, our shoulders touching. Outside, I could hear traffic. People were moving, going somewhere important. But inside our small kitchen, time felt slower, kinder. After breakfast, he brought me his favorite toy, a slightly torn plush animal with one ear missing. He dropped it at my feet and waited. Not impatiently, just waiting. I threw it gently across the room. He trotted after it, picked it up, and came back, proud but calm. No wild energy, just shared presence. By mid-morning, we settled into our usual spots. I opened my laptop on the couch. He curled up next to me, head resting on my thigh. Every few minutes, he looked up to check if I was still there. I was. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about where I needed to go next. The afternoon arrived without any announcement. No clear lines separated morning from later hours. It just happened, softly. Sunlight shifted across the living room floor, creating warm patches that my dog carefully inspected. He moved from one spot to another, testing each one like a professional sunbather, until he found the perfect place. Then he flopped down with a satisfied huff. I watched him from the couch, amused by how seriously he took his comfort. I had planned to read, maybe clean a little, maybe answer some emails. But instead, I stayed where I was. My dog lifted his head and looked at me, eyes half closed, as if asking a simple question. Why rush? So I didn't. I lay down on the floor next to him. He adjusted his position immediately, scooting closer until our arms touched. His fur was warm from the sun, and when I rested my hand on his side, I could feel his breathing again, steady, calm, reassuring. We stayed like that for a long time. At some point, he fell asleep. I knew because his paws started twitching, and his nose wrinkled as if he were smelling something exciting in his dreams. I smiled and stayed still, not wanting to wake him. The house made small sounds. The refrigerator hummed. A distant dog barked somewhere outside. But inside, everything felt complete. Later, when he woke up, he stretched and looked at me with mild surprise, as if he hadn't expected me to still be there. I was. We moved to the window together. I sat on the floor. He sat beside me, staring out. He didn't bark at passers-by or react to the noise. He just watched. Occasionally, his ears perked up, then relaxed again. I realized something then. He wasn't bored. He didn't need a walk, or a park, or constant stimulation to feel content. He just needed company. Presence. the quiet knowledge that someone was there with him. In the afternoon, I cooked something simple. He lay on the kitchen floor, supervising, occasionally lifting his head when something smelled interesting. I dropped a tiny piece of carrot, and he accepted it politely, chewing slowly, tail wagging once. After eating, I sat back down with a book. He placed his head on my foot, as if to anchor me there. Each time I shifted, he adjusted too, never letting the connection break. Time didn't feel wasted. It felt shared. Evening arrived gently, like a friend who knows you well enough not to knock loudly. The lights softened. The air cooled. My dog stood up and stretched again, then walked over to me with purpose. It was his way of saying, "It's almost the end of the day. Let's make it cozy." We turned on a small lamp. I sat on the couch with a blanket. He jumped up beside me, curled into a perfect circle, and let out a long, content sigh. His head rested against my arm. Outside, the world continued. Cars passed. People returned home. Lights flicked on in neighboring buildings. But inside, everything felt complete just as it was. I thought about all the days when I rushed. All the times I felt guilty for not doing enough, going enough places, being productive enough. And then I looked at my dog, asleep beside me, completely satisfied with a day that required nothing more than being together. Before bed, I brushed him slowly. He leaned into each stroke, eyes closing, trusting completely. When we finally turned off the lights, he walked to his bed, then stopped, looked back at me, and waited. I patted the floor next to my bed. He came over and lay down without hesitation. As I turned off the last light, I realized something important. We didn't go outside today, but we went somewhere else instead. A day at home without going outside may seem ordinary, even unproductive, in the fast rhythm of modern life. Yet days like this hold a quiet kind of wisdom. Through my dog, I learned that value is not always found in movement, achievement, or crowded schedules. Sometimes, value lives in stillness, shared space, and simple attention. Animals remind us that presence is a form of love. My dog did not need entertainment, luxury, or constant excitement. He needed consistency, safety, and companionship. By choosing to stay with him, I learned to slow my own breathing, soften my thoughts, and appreciate the moment I was already in. In today's world, where humans often feel disconnected from nature, from others, and even from themselves, our relationships with animals can become gentle anchors. They teach us patience, responsibility, and empathy without using words. Caring for them encourages us to build routines, respect needs beyond our own, and understand nonverbal communication. The lesson is simple but powerful. Slow down when you can. Be fully present with those who depend on you, and treat every shared moment, human or animal, as meaningful. In doing so, we don't just improve our lives. We create a kinder, more compassionate world where all beings feel seen and valued.